on your digital device, on Roku, Fire TV, and Apple TV. Download the SVP TV app right now. Check us out every Tuesday on Comcast Cable, Channel 17, 8:30 p.m. And we are live every Friday on Facebook Live, 6 o'clock in the evening. You've got a question? Our attorneys have the answer. So let's talk law with attorney Daryl O'Neill on the SVP TV network.
Welcome to Talking Law with Daryl O'Neill. I'm your host. I got my main man Jerome with me.
What's going on, Daryl?
Man, Jerome, you missed a good show last week, man.
I saw you.
But today,
I did see you though.
All right, but today we got another special guest. We got
All
my
right.
main man Mike Williams here with us today.
What's up, Mike?
What's up, Mike?
What's going on, Daryl? What's going on, Jerome?
Hey, man.
And look, let me
Glad
just
to
tell
have
you,
you,
you
bro.
know, we're gonna talk politics and crime.
Yes.
And you know, that's a weird, I guess, combination, but that's the story we're going to talk about today. So, but before we go down the path, I want to go ahead and say shout outs to California, shout outs to West Memphis, Little Rock, shout outs to Memphis, Shelby County, shout outs to Mississippi, shout outs to Missouri, shout out to my mom, family, Mike's family, Jerome's family.
Fam.
Everybody, welcome to watching the show.
Yes.
Look, you know, today we got Michael Williams on, and here's the thing. So, you know, Mike Williams has a long history. Number one is, at one point, he was the president of the Memphis Police Union. And then after...
Association.
That's right. So, that's right, because unions are not... so he was the president of Memphis Police Association.
Correct.
And then, you know, at one point, you know, Mike ran for mayor.
2015.
Yeah, and so didn't do bad. And then, you know, later on, he became the CAO of the General Sessions Court.
Yeah.
And then after doing that, now he's the CAO of the Shelby County Clerk's Office.
Correct.
And so, you know, who's better to talk about crime, politics, and where we are in today's state? Mike, man, I appreciate you being on the show,
Thank
man.
you so much for having me. It's
Yeah,
a pleasure,
yeah.
as usual,
Yeah.
you know, to be in the company of two very distinguished gentlemen.
Mike, you know, here we are, September, and I think we are right around the corner because there's going to be a lot of elections that happen in September of next year. I mean, there's a lot of empty seats that come
Well, they
over.
actually change over September of next year. You're
Yeah.
going to have the primary, and then you're going to have the general election. I think the primary is like May. The general election is going to be like August,
Okay.
right
Okay.
before September. But they actually switch over September the 1st of 2026.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
So, politics and crime.
Woo.
Man, how does that, I mean, that's a hell of an intersect, you know, because a lot of times, you know, it seems like to me, Jerome, correct me if I'm wrong, the politicians play on crime,
Yeah, they do. Yeah, they
you
do.
know,
Yeah, they do.
and, you know, let's start off with something simple, Mike. The Justice Department issued a report to say things about the Memphis Police Department, your old stomping grounds. Then they did not rescind what they determined, but they rescind the trying to put the Memphis into a consent order.
Correct.
What did you think about that report, Mike?
Well, you know, and me being from the inside of the police department, first of all, let's get something understood. You know, when they talk about crime is down, crime is down, crime is down, you can make reports say anything you want them to say.
Right.
You know, it's according to how you do those reports. And you know, people can say, well, Mike, you know, but I'm telling you, being on the police department, I can remember in the early 2000s when Larry Godwin wanted to get the numbers down. So what they would do was, if you had like 25 cars broken into at Wolf Chase Mall, that's 25 separate incidences.
Right.
But what they would do is make it one report.
Okay.
So it cuts the numbers.
Right.
So just like if you have some incidences downtown or you have some things that occur, you know, it's a matter of how you put those reports together. There was a time when, like if I assaulted you with a pipe, that's aggravated assault. But they would say it's not aggravated assault. They would say it's simple assault.
Right.
So therefore, it does not reach the level of FBI reporting. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
So you can do a lot of things to make reports say a lot of things that you want them to say. Now, I'm going to say this. We got a lot of crime in this city. I mean, just looking at Monday, which was 901 day, you know, and don't get me wrong, I know the mayor did it for positive things and all of that, but you had fights everywhere. Then you ended up having somebody getting shot later on that night on Beale Street,
Right.
you know, right there by MLG&W. So, you know, we have to be careful. And first of all, we have to say we have a problem. And for some reason, nobody wants to admit the fact that we have a problem that's in charge. They want to say, oh, they want to make everything positive. It's beautiful. We can do this and we can do that. And don't get me wrong, I love my city. Don't nobody love Memphis more than me.
Right.
But we got a problem.
Right.
And we have to admit we have a problem. So going back to that report and the consent decree that they asked them to be under, I understand that the police department and the mayor does not want to be under a consent decree. But I also think that they should take it serious in that at some point you got to say, get your kids, because we're going to lock this place down.
Right.
Because if we don't, you're going to have the president want to bring the National Guard in here. You know what I mean?
Right.
Or something to that effect. But we, especially the African American community, which is the predominant race in this city, we don't want to feel as though we're being over policed. But it's our kids and grandkids that are out here committing all the crimes.
Well, and so Drummond, here's the issue, and Mike, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but here's the issue, and everybody seems to forget this. Not just everybody in Memphis, Shelby County, everybody in the nation. Memphis has almost 700,000 people in it.
Correct.
That's larger than Detroit. That's larger than Miami. That's larger than Atlanta. You see what I'm getting at here?
Yeah, I got you.
That's larger than St. Louis.
Correct.
You see, you know, so what's happening is when you have that larger population, you're going to have big numbers.
Yeah.
Now, you know, you think if you got 700,000 people and you have 150 murders or 150 deaths or whatever, murders, whatever, it appears to be a big number. But you got to say big as to what? Because what does those numbers look like in Miami?
Well, and I think they do compare, but let's say you're talking about 125, but at some point we reached 400.
Oh, no.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then when you compare that to a city like Chicago that has a couple of million people,
Yeah,
and
I
they may
think-
only have 800 homicides.
Yeah.
But we sitting here with half the numbers
Right.
that they have
Right.
in comparison, and they have 2-3 million people.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So that's a lot.
Yeah, because I look at it, because I think Chicago is number 3.
Something like that.
I'm talking about size, city size.
Yes.
I think.
It's like,
I think. You know, obviously,
New York.
and Los Angeles.
Yeah, then Houston, I think, or something like that. Houston has a couple of million.
Yeah. So I think it's. I think Houston's like 5. But you know, but I think New York, L.A., Chicago, you know, Houston, Philadelphia. I mean, some. You know, those are the numbers, and those places have, you know, 2 million. And I think New York, because of all the boroughs. They have, I think New York has some crazy number of people, you know. I was thinking somewhere in about maybe 4 or 5 million people. But I think it's, you got all these different boroughs. But again, Jerome, Mike, what is the plan? I mean, if you talk in politics, if you're a politician and you want to talk about this crime thing, what can you do to change the platform?
Well, you know, for me, I think it has to be a multi-pronged approach. You know, just like with the military, it's not just a one thing.
Yeah,
you
right.
know
I
what
like
I'm saying?
that, yeah.
You know, a lot of people say you gotta lock them up, lock them up, lock them up. Well, no,
that's not.
No, that ain't it.
No.
You know, I was having a discussion with someone today. I think a large majority of the problem in a lot of metropolitans that are democratically ran is they're truly not democratically ran. They're ran by the power brokers in those cities. They have learned to tap into the tax base to be able to do development. They call it public-private partnerships,
Yes.
regentrification, using your tax dollars as opposed to putting your tax dollars back into your community so that you can actually have a quality of life. The other thing is that, you know, when you don't do that, now you create poverty in those cities. You know, we're talking about Memphis with a 27% poverty rate or something like that. That is like one of the highest, if not the highest,
Yeah, it's
in
200
the nation.
Yeah, that's
right.
200K.
You understand what
Yeah,
I'm
that's
saying?
200. Yeah,
So
yeah.
now you're creating an environment that's conducive
That's right.
to crime.
Right.
But you got to understand the other thing about crime. When you put crime in an area like downtown,
Mm-hmm.
initially, you decrease the property value.
Right.
Then you turn around and you buy up all of the property.
Right. Yeah,
You
you
redevelop
Yeah,
the
yeah,
property,
yeah. Price
and you
people
sell
out.
for high.
Right.
You
Price
understand
out.
what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Right,
You know,
right,
this is,
right.
you know, you got to think further than what you see.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this is, some of this stuff has been planned, but it got out of control.
Right.
Now they don't know how to control it,
Mm-hmm.
you know, because now you have a generation that has been affected, and because they're not used to and they don't have a vested interest, they don't care.
Well, you know, and go ahead, Jerome.
Well, you know, I think that one of the things that concerns me so much is that we all know what the problems are.
Okay.
But we ought to focus more on solutions.
Yeah.
And as you said, Mike, one of the most important things is the poverty rate
Correct.
that's in our town.
Correct.
And so we have to get a hold of that because people want to have what they see other people having.
Yeah.
And they have a right to. All of us have a right to have
Yeah,
a,
okay.
a chicken
All right,
in the
so-
pot.
so,
we have a
yeah.
right to have a chicken in the pot. We have a right to have
Come on,
a
Darryl.
decent,
Come on,
a decent paying job. We ought to be able to support a family on one person working and not 2 or 3 people working, and kids are latchkey kids, and we can do it if our focus was on the right thing. If we can spend $75 million on a golf course, or we can spend all of this money to build up a park, we can certainly do something about these neighborhoods. Sometimes when I drive through the neighborhoods and I see where people have to live, it just makes me almost want to cry for someone to have to be forced to live in an area like that. With all of the resources there, the only thing that black people lead in, I hear it all the time, is 75%. What am I talking about? 75%. What I'm talking about? Anybody know? Organ donation leading order. That's the only statistic we
I
lead
never
in.
got that one. Okay.
That's the only statistic we lead in that we lead in.
We giving
is-
away our organs.
No, that we need 75% is the only one that we lead in, needing organs.
We
They
need-
say it all the time.
Okay.
But everything else, we are at the bottom of the level. And then another thing is that DEI, I am a DEI advocate because they have misconstrued what DEI means. DEI just simply means an opportunity. I am a DEI graduate of law school, and I'm proud of it too. I never would have got a chance to go to law school had Dr. King lived. Dr. King had to die in order for me to have the opportunity that I have tonight.
Well,
that I'm sitting here
and-
tonight.
You know what?
Because they
and-
never would have opened it up for us.
So so here's where Jerome and Mike, Jerome and I started, diverging, right? and look,
Okay.
I truly believe in DEI.
Right.
I believe in affirmative action. I believe in titles. I believe in that wholeheartedly. But here's where I started struggling. So the problem is when COVID hit, I don't know how much you remember, when COVID hit, money was rapid. Money was rampant. You remember that?
Yeah, they were giving it away.
They were giving it away.
Yeah,
And
stipends and
still
this and that.
people struggled.
Yeah.
You had people getting every extra dollar that exists and wouldn't pay their rent.
Yeah. Yeah.
You had people getting every extra dollar they got or were getting, and they decided not to take care of necessities. Now, is that a problem? I don't know.
Well, it is a problem
yes,
because they
it's a
didn't have the
problem.
financial literacy.
Well,
and they needed the financial
you
literacy
see,
to understand
see,
how this thing works.
Well, see, but I'm a firm believer. People make choices.
Exactly.
You make choices. You know what I'm saying? And you have to be held accountable
Right.
for the choices that you make. You know?
I have a
Jerome
choice.
don't wanna hold
I have
nobody
a
accountable
choice
now.
to live in a rat-infested home with mold in
No,
it.
no,
That-
no,
but
no,
I don't
no,
have
no,
that
no,
choice.
you know what kills me when I hear that?
Yeah.
My paycheck dictates
I'm
where
gonna
I
t-
can
I'm gonna
live
tell
or
you
not
this,
live.
Jerome. If you think back to how we lived and
Yeah.
how we came up,
Yeah.
we didn't come up in a whole lot of the best areas, the best apartments, the
Yeah.
best neighborhoods, the best houses, shotgun houses, all of this kind of stuff. But they were clean because
Yeah.
we had pride.
Right.
You know, we didn't have a whole lot of food. Like, you see these kids now running around with $400 jeans on, $300 tennis shoes.
and a $1,000 cell phone.
I could never, ever.
Right.
I couldn't
Yeah,
even get a pair
yeah.
of Chuck Taylor Converse.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
guess what?
I'm not
You know
disputing
what my mama
that.
said?
I'm not disputing that.
You ain't finna go out here and act a damn fool.
Right.
You ain't finna bring discredit to my house, and your ass gonna go get an education.
I'm not disputing
Did she
that.
not?
That's,
Hey,
all
that's
everything
the-
you said is
yes,
true.
yes,
That's true.
yes.
And I said, yes, ma'am.
Well, and hold on, and I say this all the time.
Man.
You know, and my father used to say this. You know, excuses are like butts.
Exactly.
And we heard it many times in the Army. Everybody got one and they all stink.
But
You know, because the reality of it is, I can make an excuse for anybody, Jerome. And I don't disagree. Everybody should have an opportunity. But I can't give it to you. You just got to take it. You got to take your opportunity.
okay. All right. So let me just say this.
Because education by itself ain't going to get you there.
Almost 20 years ago, we stopped having a black person on the Tennessee Supreme Court. And here we are 20 years later. There's about another 3 or 4 states that don't have a black person on the Supreme Court. So if you don't have recognition on the highest court in your state, you're certainly going to be left behind. And so we could have stopped that back 20 years ago.
But a lot of that's our problem.
Yeah.
But it's our problem
It's
because
our fault.
It's because we don't direct our energy to the right thing. That's what I'm saying.
Well-
We talk about the problems every day, but we don't ever talk about solutions.
Well, but when I ask you we talked about this once before.
Okay.
And when I ask you, and I want you to tell Mike, and then, because I'm gonna get out of the way.
Okay.
Tell Mike, what's your solution?
To-
Tell Mike, I'm gonna back up and get out the way because
Okay.
you don't say I'm ignorant.
Okay,
So I'm gonna back up and get out the way.
This is just one of the things that I often talk about. So one of the things that would decrease the violence in our meeting with the police and the community running into each other and having these confrontations where a black person winds up dead is to decrease the amount of times that they have the conflict. And we could do that by getting rid of these senseless stops for a brake light,
You're funny.
brake
Go
light,
ahead.
no tags, all of those things. We can cure that by offering a $1,000 grant to people in those areas that would allow them to go to AutoZone, O'Reilly's, and anywhere and pick up the parts that's necessary to put their cars back in running condition. Some people miss a whole week of work because they cannot afford to buy a battery. They get up in the morning time and go in, and the car won't start.
I don't want to hear.
No. Finish it up. Yeah.
So
I want you to address this
the
one.
$1,000 voucher will allow them to be able to get whatever essential part that they need to get their cars running. The windshields fixed, wipers, whatever it is. Now, this is a refillable card. That also would put people who have never had a bank account.
So we're going to give them some more money.
No, they will be able to refill it themselves by understanding how the system works. These are unbanked people. They're already spending money. They're already spending money at check cashing places. They're already pawning, going to the pawn shop to cash their checks. That will all change because they have now been introduced into the system. Now, Mike, one more thing and I'm done.
Okay.
You were right there in General Sessions Court. You worked there.
Yeah.
You saw how these collectors are coming in and hitting people with $30,000
Yep.
for a vehicle that ran 30 days, and then it was abandoned because they couldn't repair it, and they repossessed it, sold it to somebody else, and then they're still charging the individual for $30,000. Black people can never get ahead as long as we keep on having our feet on their necks. And that was one of the things, you saw it every day. We should have slashed that, cut that out. Now, I'm done.
Okay. I agree with you on that aspect. I saw where they were overcharging
Over
people,
and over
they were
again.
reselling and reselling and
Reselling.
reselling. So I do think that's an issue, Jerome.
And then another thing,
But
one more thing.
Okay.
And then people, and Darren and I see it all the time too. People are flying in to Memphis from Alabama, from Georgia.
Buying property?
They're coming in to do collections in this town because of how lucrative it is. Black people just don't have a chance. They are like what you call them, the little the little.
Internet said could.
No, when you're fishing, you do minnows. They're like minnows, and the sharks are just running and wiping them out on a daily basis, man. And so that's where we come in. We say, hey, no more, no more. And what they do is they act like they can't find the person in order for the interest rate to keep jumping and jumping and jumping. And many of those debts, the interest rate is greater than the balance. Am I lying about that or not?
Okay,
you're right.
Now look, you conflate this stuff, Jerome, because those are two substantially different issues.
I'm just telling. I'm telling you.
Now I get that, and again, I ain't never disagree with you on that issue.
Okay.
Yep.
Never ever disagree.
Okay.
Because I'm an advocate of telling people when they go to court and they ask you, do you agree with the debt? You should say no. Mm-hmm. I'm a fan of when you go down there, don't be cheap. They got legal services. They got all these free clinics. Get some help.
Yeah.
Don't you
Stop running from the problem.
You don't
Deal with the
know
problem.
just because you're a neighborhood lawyer or a courtroom or jailhouse lawyer, you don't know the real law.
Right.
Get
Right.
somebody.
Right.
So I agree with you on that. And we do need to have some better programs to help these people make better decisions in the legal system.
Right.
But now you talk about $1,000
Yeah.
and this card and all that.
Yeah.
Now
See,
I'm on you on that.
I have a serious problem with that because, I work hard. I'm 65 years old, and I've worked hard all my life. Since I was 10, I have worked, delivered groceries on bicycles, hot bottles at the corner store, because, we didn't have a whole lot. Even when I was in the Army initially, I worked 2 part-time jobs because even in the Army, when I first went in 78, a lot of the privates were getting food stamps.
Yep, they sure
because
were.
you didn't make enough money.
Yeah.
Okay, but I worked 2 additional jobs because I didn't want to get food stamps. You understand what I'm saying? You got able-bodied young people who have the ability to be able to go out here, and you have to have, okay? I lived in poverty when I came up, but I said I didn't want to live like that, Jerome. So I had to make a decision. Did I make some mistakes, Jerome? Yes, I did. But eventually I had to say, you know what? I got to get my stuff together. So I had to go back to school. I had to work 2-3 jobs. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to keep giving people passes because I pay in taxes a year probably what some people make. Hold on. I don't want to pay no more. I understand why a lot of people
we're
that
hating
work
on the wrong people.
I'm not hating.
We're hating on the people.
No, I'm not, because I used to be one of them.
But you hating on them.
But you can't tell me about them
What is
people.
$1,000, Mike Williams? What is $1,000?
Times 200,000 people.
What is it?
That's the number of people that you're talking about.
But I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't want to keep. I don't want to.
We just talked about
in a place that don't. We don't. We don't.
All that money that they gave away during COVID, we are still repaying.
But look, what is $1,000 when you give these politicians all of this money?
I don't give them anything.
I'm talking about the government gives it
I
to them.
just told you but see, now you're talking about another problem because
See,
we won't
conflate no more.
You keep crossing lines.
I'm crossing lines because that's the bottom line.
Issue.
If we would invest in people and
How do you
buy
pay for it?
But didn't I say that? I said that in the beginning.
And I agree with you
I
on
said
that.
that in the
And that's
how
my
do you
whole,
pay for it?
my whole
That's
emphasis is.
That's part of the
My
problem.
how do
whole
you pay for it?
emphasis is the same way we're paying for the projects that we're investing in. Look at the Simmons Liberty Bowl Stadium.
Stadium.
How much money was spent from the government in order to do that? And so
Well, it's just like a FedEx Forum. It's like Tiger Lane. It's just like all of this.
And it's okay
And
because
then we turn around and give it to University of Memphis. Go ahead.
but it's okay because we need those things. But what if we would invest the same energy into people
You know
to
what-
build
but do you
people
know what
up?
the
And we've
problem
done it. One more thing, I'm done. We've done it somewhat because there used to be a time that you had to pay to go to junior college. So now that's free.
But that's because
How many people taking advantage of that?
That's because of the lottery.
Understood. Whatever the reason,
what the number? What is the
somebody
number?
figured out that
Do you know the
our
numbers?
best thing,
Do you know the numbers?
$2.8 billion now.
No, I'm talking about. Do you know the numbers of people that are taking advantage of that free education?
I'm not sure,
I guarantee you, it's nowhere what you think it is.
but it's okay.
It's
And
free.
let me tell you how they're trying to do it.
It's
now.
okay.
What they're doing is they're putting high schools on a lot of those junior college campuses.
Correct.
and it's like a dual enrollment
Exactly.
program.
Right,
So
and
you
that's
got
good.
a lot of those high school kids that are actually getting associate degrees.
Do it, yeah,
once
yeah.
once they
Right,
graduate.
but the issue still is that we're investing in people.
Right.
People build projects.
But let me tell you
not
what-
projects don't build
I'm gonna say this,
people.
and I'm gonna shut up the rest of your show. But this is the problem for me. When I was growing up, you had Wyatt Chandler and all of those guys that
Yeah.
were in power.
Right.
And a lot of people was like, civil rights was a big deal back then and all of that. But I'm gonna tell you something that they did. They invested in our community to a degree. Okay, the community centers were fully funded. They were open all the time.
Right.
You had Pop Warner football. You had this. You had that. That was funded. You had programs in the park. To whereas you could
I remember
be
the
engaged in the
park,
park.
yeah,
Okay.
right,
yeah.
You had swimming pools all over the city.
Right.
All over this city.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
Now, and that was under when they were talking about civil rights and all of that. Now you got black people in charge. You got black mayors. You got a predominantly black city council. You got a predominantly black county commission. But they're not reinvesting back into the black community.
No question about it. No, you're absolutely right. But look, we've only had 60 years. That's all we've had.
I don't want to hear. A lot
You tell me it's been more than 60
A lot
years.
of people that are in charge, Jerome, unfortunately, they have seats at the table and they want seats at other tables, but they won't put food on the table for the communities that they actually represent.
I'm with you 100% on that. But I'm still talking about the short period of time that we've had to even try to develop a community.
We were a lot better way back when we ain't have
We,
nothing.
no question, I agree with that as well.
We were better
But-
off when we were poor.
But 60 years is all we've had.
What that mean?
And they're withdrawing it back from us now.
No, we're allowing.
No,
them.
yeah,
we're enabling. them.
Yeah, I mean, because think about it now. Okay, and Mike only gave
and
you a
I'm gonna be
piece of
quiet.
it because Mike said it's the school board. I'm sorry, the county commission, the city council, the mayor.
Yeah.
Both mayors.
Both mayors, yeah.
You know,
both mayors, right.
All of this, but he forgot the school board. So the people that's in charge with the stuff that you're talking about,
Right.
education,
Right.
are black.
Right.
I mean,
That's
there's-
right.
And they have a bigger budget they have a bigger budget than either
$1
of the
billion,
major
yeah,
parties.
$1 billion budget, didn't it?
Yeah,
Two. Right.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
I mean, and so again, those are the people.
But remember
And they're
now,
not doing it.
But
So-
remember Nashville actually pulled the rug out from under them because they won't allow them to have a set aside in order to incorporate black people into being able to have these contracts. You know, we used to have something called a living wage. Nashville snatched that away from us. But the cure for that is for us to snatch away our tax dollars from going to Nashville. I
How do you do
advocated it
that?
by shopping in Arkansas and shopping in Mississippi.
You kill your own. You kill your own state.
We got to do something. We got to
Yeah,
let them know that we're not
yeah,
going to
that's-
continue to allow them to
So you
intervene.
gonna give it to Arkansas? They ain't giving you nothing back.
What we getting from Nashville
Well,
now?
we getting something.
But
But Nashville does give us kickbacks.
We're getting something.
We get kickbacks.
We getting something. Like
But-
you go to Mississippi and Arkansas, you ain't getting nothing.
But they
get millions
But
from
look,
Nashville.
but they are flooding our community with guns. We voted in an ordinance that we did not want to have people walking around with guns like they have now. So Nashville has completely ignored everything that black people wanted to do
Okay.
in this town.
Now, see, now I got a problem, and I know Mike the police, so I'm gonna sound like the police for a minute.
Go ahead.
About the guns,
have
I'll give that one
absolute
up. Keep your
problem.
gun, keep your gun, Daryl.
Yeah,
Keep your gun.
Well, no, it's not even that, though.
Keep
Drew.
your gun,
See,
and let's talk about some other stuff.
Because the gun laws ain't for me.
Yeah.
The gun laws ain't for the criminals.
Yeah.
Whether you have a 50 million gun law, a damn criminal gonna have a gun anyway.
Yeah.
So it ain't for them. It's for me.
Yeah.
It's so I can keep knucklehead from running up on me.
Yeah.
So I mean, I hear what you're saying, but you can change the gun law. You got convicted fellas walking around with guns.
They had them.
Well, we got a
before
president
they
who's a
had
convicted
them.
fellow, so.
Yeah, I mean,
you know,
I'm just saying.
So
you got
that's
all these-
out. That's-
yeah, but I'm just saying, all these people are still carrying guns, and they're not supposed to have them.
Right, I agree with that.
You know, so I don't know. So now you're gonna say, I'm gonna take Daryl's gun.
No, I never said take a gun. I'm
Little
saying,
Lily out there running around with a Mac 10.
no, I'm talking, well, Mike Williams, that should not even be. That's what my problem is right there.
But it is.
But why
And you ain't gonna
why
stop it.
we can't stop it again
How
by
you gonna stop it?
withholding our dollars from going
You're not
to
finna- but you're not finna do
taxation. Taxation without representation. My brother said it a long time ago. Tom Paine said it a long time ago. Taxation without representation is a fallacy. And that's where we are. We are not being represented.
We had the ability, and we were actually able to accomplish things through boycotts.
Yeah.
We can still do it today.
No, you're not.
You just did it with Target. You just did it with Target.
No, you're not. No, you're not.
Yeah.
Did you not see how
No,
Target?
you're not going to do it in this city.
We can't do it.
You can't even get a collective of
You can't
individuals.
get 150,000 people to vote.
But listen, that's the problem.
So I mean, you got
You had a mayor elected in this city of 700
20%,
and some thousand people.
26%.
No, it wasn't 26%. It was 26,000.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Thousand.
But I understand.
That's unheard of.
out of 650,000 people.
but
so
look,
you talking about getting together and
26,000.
doing count for what?
But look, what we have to do, the people of like mind,
Oh, Lord.
like-minded people.
We ain't even like mine.
But it's okay. It's okay for us to have this battle that we're having
No, I'm
now.
saying, I love discussion. I love discussion.
Until we set an agenda, and once you set the agenda, we all are locked in when we
and
come
that's
out of the
other
room.
problem. I see all of these people having all of these forums.
Yeah.
But nothing really comes
I
out
agree.
of the forum.
I
They
agree.
have the forum.
I agree.
And then, you know why? Because you can't get a general consensus
I agree.
about anything.
Did you go to the Million Man March?
No, I did not.
I went to the Million Man March.
think I was in the army
It was
or
beautiful, absolutely beautiful. We left there and we didn't have not a plan to take back home with us. And that's what's happening now. I'm sick of going to these meetings and we leave out and things stay the same.
Yeah.
So what you need is a consensus. When we come out of there, we all are like-minded. We're lockstepping until we can get some
But
change.
you haven't had that person.
Right. And
That-
thought process. Not even just person, just thought process.
Or collective
Yeah.
of individuals that could get together and that could galvanize this community, because it's almost like every time somebody gets in place and you think you may want to, you know what, I may want to follow Daryl.
Mm-hmm.
Daryl do some dumb shit.
I-
You know, we find out Daryl taking money under the table.
Yeah.
We find out Daryl is a womanizer.
Yeah,
He's womanizing all of the women in the movie.
Yeah.
We find you know what I mean?
I agree. I agree.
But that goes right back to what I was saying
but-
earlier. When we've gotten to the table, because we can't keep blaming all of those young people out there in the streets, because I say they do what they do because of what we have done.
I agree. 100%. But again,
finna tell me it's over.
and I kept, but I kept telling them, I said,
That was
look,
a quick hour. Jesus.
I kept telling them
with
that
Jerome.
when we do get into the meeting, there are like-minded people that people who are thinking alike, we can walk away with an agenda and we can get something done.
Oh wow.
Hey, look at this. Okay. Look, man, ain't nothing better to have Mike Williams on the
wow.
show.
Oh, wow.
And Mike, man, I appreciate you coming to the
Thank you,
show.
Mike.
I mean,
I
you know,
appreciate that.
I got to do a part 2 with you, man. We got to do a part
Just
2.
let me know when. I want to come back and finish this up.
Hey, look, and I'm gonna end on one last note. Nothing will change until we as people of color
Come on.
learn how not to hate each other. Black people hate black people.
God,
And until we figure that out,
that is strong.
I don't
until
agree.
we figure that out,
I don't agree.
we ain't gonna get nowhere until we figure that out. Anyway, thank you for watching the show, my man and my guy. We'll see y'all back next week. Thanks.